Hi, here is our research team, which includes Candy Crawford, Sean Doherty, Carmina Ledesma, myself, Marissa Meyer, and Dr. Kennedy acting as our principal investigator and faculty mentor for this research. Our title is Exploring Counselors' Experiences with Faith Integrated Holistic Counseling in Church Communities. Our research question was, what is the essence of counselors' lived experiences of providing faith integrated holistic counseling in church communities? We chose to use Mustaka's transcendental phenomenology as our form of methodology.
So, our dive into the literature highlighted both things I think that we know as counselors and other things that maybe we don't know. So, holistic counseling has been proven through research to show that anxiety and depression can be handled very beneficially with the use of holistic counseling. I think that's something that when we think of holistic, again, it's treating the mind, body, and the soul. And so, if we're treating all of those aspects, that can naturally remedy symptomology from anxiety and feelings of depression. However, within the church setting or within those communities, mental illness still is showing that it can be very spiritualized, leading to feeling excluded or the concept of being stigmatized within that setting. And so Lloyd et al. Really has done a lot of research around that. And I think the spiritualization will tie into the topic that we are addressing through our study of how can this be addressed and what resistances and or challenges might counselors who are treating certain things with clients in this community, what might they encounter regarding that? So, to highlight a gap for this, which is good for us in our research study, is that within diverse populations, specifically and including the Christian realms, there is an underdevelopment of research regarding holistic counseling as it pertains to um, diverse populations. Which, however, interestingly, there's also research showing that there is a growing interest regarding integrating spirituality and psychotherapy. So, this puts us in a nice position for our research study.
So, data collection was achieved through interviews with 5 participants, each of which were assigned pseudonyms. Interviews took place in Zoom, and these were all recorded. The transcription feature in Zoom was used to obtain the initial transcript. Transcripts were then downloaded, and each researcher checked their transcripts for accuracy. During this process, real names were redacted in order to add each appropriate pseudonym. And then all recordings and transcripts with any identifiable participant information was stored in Dropbox. We also used the CCU Google Drive to keep any of our other spreadsheets and related documents for analysis. Afterward, our team sent the redacted transcripts to each individual participant. That was to confirm the accuracy of our transcription. And in any cases where the participants may have felt triggered in any way by the interview, we also made sure that each of them received a debriefing form that had examples of calming activities and other mental health related resources.
So, our research process and participants. The first initial step was to obtain our IRB approval, which we did so through CCU's IRB committee. We then consulted with Dr. Kennedy, who is the professor that we are consulting with on this. We moved into then contacting and scheduling our participants. And so we had one researcher on our team send one email to all of the participants and CC'd all of the researchers in on that. That included an attachment of the informed consent and information regarding our study. We then moved into scheduling our participants. And so we had 5 participants reply to our email. Each researcher then met with and corresponded with one participant. And so that included collecting the informed consent, being that main point of contact for our research team, and then conducting the interview. And so each researcher stayed with one participant throughout this time. The interview protocol We actually emailed all of the participants, the 5 participants, the questions prior to our interview so that they would have time to review that. The interviews lasted anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes, and those interviews were recorded via Zoom, which is a HIPAA compliant platform through CCU, and then transcribed via the auto transcription service through Zoom. Our demographics were quite interesting. They ranged anywhere in age from 31 to 57. We had 3 females and 2 males, so nice diverse set there, including experience anywhere from 8 to 20 years of field experience. So I felt like that gave us quite a bit of breadth and depth with that. All identified as Caucasian with some Irish and Northern European descent.
Transcendental phenomenological analysis is a 6-step process. So first, we as the researchers bracket, which means we set aside our personal biases, assumptions, and preconceived notions about the phenomenon. We completed this by journaling before we started the analysis process. Next is horizontalization, and this is where every statement from the participants is initially given equal value. Our third step was reduction and elimination, which involved determining which significant statements were essential to understanding the phenomenon. After that, we moved into clustering and thematizing, which required us to group the core themes that describe the experiences. So if a statement appeared 3 times or more, we identified it to be essential. After that was the textual description, which allowed us to develop a rich descriptive narrative based on participants' direct quotes. And then from there, we moved into structural description, which provided context and factors that influenced the experience for the participant. And finally, we got down to synthesis of meanings and essence, which included combining the textual and structural descriptions into a composite summary. This final step captures the core essence of the phenomenon.
So Christy discussed a little bit about the analysis process that we used and how we were able to derive our themes. Using clustering and thematizing, we were able to derive uh, 3 themes for research question 1. Research question 1 was define holistic as it relates to your style of counseling. We see that 4 clients conveyed that holistic meant or means the whole client. 3 participants looked at holistic as also including how they respond in their relationships, and 3 participants also looked at holistic as also including their wellness. What are they eating? Are they exercising? How are their self-care practices? So those sorts of things. For research question 2, there were 4 things that came out. Research question 2, describe your experience of using faith integrated holistic counseling with Christian clients. So five participants. So all of our participants discussed Bible integration, God integration, trauma treatment. And then there were 3 who discussed how part of uh, using the holistic integrated model with clients is not including the Bible. For research question 3, what types of specific techniques or methods do you use to integrate faith and holistic based approaches? Looking at research question 3, we see the graph. On the right hand side, we see a number. That number represents how many of the participants stated that uh, this was a thing. And so 5 participants stated that biblical stories and activities are ways that they integrate faith and holistic based approaches. So that's all of our participants. We also see that three participants highlighted mindfulness as a way that they integrate the two. For research question 4, tell me what types of successes and challenges you experience when using holistic modalities with clients. Three core themes showed up for the participants, and that was resistance, expectations, and desire to feel better. Certainly, understanding that as they explored desire to feel better, it was viewed more in a positive light. So clients were, because they wanted to feel better, um, they went on the journey differently, if you will. And so for the last research question, question 5, share how you handle ethical matters regarding client autonomy and your counseling approach. What we see here from the themes, client autonomy and client empowerment, is that those clinicians believe that because they empowered their client and because they recognize their client's autonomy, that that was in essence how they handled ethical matters is by putting the client first, acknowledging and affirming their autonomy and empowering them to walk in that is how they viewed handling ethical matters. So once we explored the core themes and we were able to analyze and um, cluster and thematizing and moving down from structural and textual analysis, all of those steps lead to deeper meaning. So, what is the essence of what the participants are communicating to us regarding their experience? And so, going back and looking at question 1, um, holistic counseling is an integrative approach that views the client as a whole person, mind, body, spirit. And so when we think of even how we as counselors address biopsychosocial spiritual, it aligns very much with um, the notion of the whole person. Research question 2, describe your experience of using faith integrated holistic counseling with Christian clients. And that is that faith integrated holistic counseling is an individualized approach that respects clients' spiritual beliefs. Counselors navigate the integration of biblical principles and God in ways that align with the client's preferences and with the client's beliefs. And so we saw a lot of those things come to light in the core themes, biblical integration, God integration, uh, and not using the Bible. And so, thus, what does the client need and what's best for the client, and what does the client want? So going on and looking at question 3, regarding what type of, what specific techniques are used to integrate faith and holistic approaches. Again, using mindfulness and weaving that in to integrate faith and holistic approach. Um, but the most used technique was the integration of biblical activities and Bible stories. And that was the foundation and the basis of faith integration. Research question 4, what types of successes and challenges? And so, again, the essence of the experience. The challenges were experienced with client resistance and managing expectations, whether it was the expectations of clients or parents. And the success of having clients who desire to feel better, ready for change. And so that was the essence and the meaning for research question 4. Research question 5, share how you handle ethical matters. That I think came out beautifully even at the when we assess the core things that um, ensuring that the clients know and feel that they are in control was the foundation for autonomy, which also was the foundation for the ethical concerns and matters. The client is in control, empowering the client to know that he or she um, is in control in whatever um, techniques and resources and tools that they want to utilize. That's what will be utilized for that for their care.
We believe that this study offers various implications for the field of counselor education and supervision. First, it helps to address the stigmatization of the spiritualization of mental illness in the field. So, spirituality can feel a bit subjective because it's difficult to measure, and sometimes counselors refrain from using it for this and other reasons. However, if we are counseling from a truly holistic perspective, we know that spirituality is a part of human existence. So, logically, there must be spiritual implications if we're assessing mental health from the perspective of the whole person. Our study helps to make spiritual issues, specifically techniques that use the integration of biblical activities and narratives, more tangible for the field. This will especially inform counselor educators in faith based programs. Secondly, the study adds to the underdeveloped body of research related to holistic counseling within diverse populations, specifically church communities. Marissa had addressed this gap in the earlier review of the literature. Third, we're actually very fortunate to be able to capitalize on the current interest and openness in the field to spirituality and counseling. As the literature continues to develop on this topic, counselors and counselor educators will be in search of best practices. And this actually leads me to the fourth implication for the field, which is a contribution to the understanding of ethical considerations in integrating biblical themes in counseling with clients who are requesting it. So, our study reinforces that the issue of client autonomy must remain central, making sure that he or she feels in control throughout the treatment process. However, this does not preclude the counselor from the implementation of activities such as reading scripture or prayer and other explicitly biblical approaches.
Limitations. One limitation that we found in our study is that one participant did not respond for an interview. Another limitation was the sample size and selection. The study sample is limited to Christian mental health professionals at a private practice in the South, which may not represent a broad population of Christian counselors. We also had a sample size of 5 participants. Lastly, another limitation that we had is cultural specificity. The study focuses on Christian counselors in a conservative region, and the findings may not apply to people in other geographic areas or diverse or non religious populations. Implications for future research. Client perspectives. Future studies could focus on the experiences and perspectives of clients who receive faith integrated holistic counseling. Training and education. Research could explore the developments and effectiveness of training programs for counselors who practice holistic modalities and the outcomes they have on clients. Broader geographic or demographic scope. Future research could go beyond the selected region and extend to more diverse geographic areas.